Hey guys, this is Adrian with another cool feature to check out today. So we're gonna talk about Stimulus.js and HTML attributes. So this is a beta feature. This is just to allow you to hook into the CRUD interface and add your stimulus controller data tags and your action data attributes and your target attributes, and allow you to change a few things in the interface. So it will allow you to do things like this, like if you have like two selects, one for a country and one for a city, and you want the cities to be from that country that the user chose, you'll be able to do that. So let's dive in and see what we can do. Cool. So the first thing you can do is assign stimulus controllers to resource views. So you can do that using the stimulus controllers option here. So you can attach one or many. You can use the same data attribute notation. So just split them apart by a space if you need to add more. This will add the controller to all of the views. So as you may know, like Avo has three types of views. It has the index view where you can see everything. It has the show view where you can see the details, and then it has the edit view. So that controller will be appended to each view. So if I go here in the DOM, you'll see the data controller, it's resource edit and course resource. So it's going to do the same thing for show, data controller, course resource, same thing for index. By default, Avo will add another controller on top of that. It's going to be called resource edit, resource show, or resource index, depending on which view you are on. So now I'm on the index view, so you have the resource index controller. And if I go back to resource show, you'll see that controller as well. So you can add as many controllers as you need. Another thing that Avo does to make this a little bit easier is automatically adds targets to two elements. So it adds targets to the field wrappers and to the inputs. So the field wrappers, I'm just going to show you this. So this is the field wrapper for an edit field, an edit view field. If now I'm going to go on a show, so this is like the whole field wrapper. If I go a little bit down, I'll see the name field wrapper, and it's going to add a few things. I'm going to jump back. It's going to create the targets for that field wrapper. So for the field so for this field, name as text is going to create the name text wrapper target, right? You can target that in your controller. So the naming is like the field name, then the field type, and then the wrapper appended at the end. So I'm going to show you how that looks like. So if I go into the show, you'll see that for each controller I have for each view. So for this view, I have resource edit, which is added by the Avo by default, and it also has course resource, which I added it. It will have those targets applied. So data resource show target, ID wrapper, because the name is an ID and the type of the field is an ID. So maybe let's just have a look at this one. So again, data resource show, so the controller that was added by Avo, and data course resource, this is our controller. It adds the target has skills Boolean wrapper, because it has this field, so has skills as a Boolean. So this becomes has skills Boolean wrapper. So it will add this target for you to make it even easier to target in your controllers. Another element that's going to be targeted is the input. So for edit views, you'll have has skills Boolean input target. So I'll just go and inspect this really quick, and you'll see data resource edit target has skills Boolean input and has skills Boolean input for the course resource. Okay, so I'm going to jump into a controller resource edit and show you how that looks like. So if I add this target, has skills Boolean input, and now I'm gonna try and use connect and say this target. And now in my console, I'll be able to see that target. So I'm just going to capture this. So you see, this is the target. And we can do the same thing with the wrapper. Oh, sorry. Oh, without input. Okay. And I need to add it here as well. And I need to add the target. Okay, coolio. So now I have the input, and then I have the div. If I'm gonna capture this, so this is the wrapper. So this is how easy you can target things in your controllers. I hope this will help you do that very well. Coolio. So we talked about field wrappers, about input wrappers. Okay. Now, another thing that Avo does for you is all controllers get the view value. So I'm gonna go back to the controller and I'm gonna show you this in the DOM. So we have data controller, resource edit, and course resource. So I have two controllers, and you'll see each of them receive this value of view. So data resource edit, view value, it's edit. Data course resource, view value edit. So you can use that in your stimulus controllers. This way you will know when you're on which view in your JavaScript. Also, I'm gonna go back to the index view and now I'm going to create a new course. So for resource new, for the new view, Avo really uses the edit view as well. So you'll be able to see on which view you are, a new or an edit, based on this view value. So you'll get that very well. Coolio. Next, okay. Next, these are the attributes that we add by default, but you can add your own. So that's why it makes this so powerful. So we have two types of notations. We have the object notation and the block notation. Object is the simplest one when you just need to add simple non-dynamic attributes. And the block notation is for when you want to compute things inside of them and add different tags based on different variables. Next, so you have to think to declare the attributes from the outside in. So you first have to declare the view. So the view can be index, show, or edit. So this is the view. Then you have to add the element on which you want to add it. So it's a wrapper or an input. And then you add the attribute. So it can be a style, a classes, or data attribute. Okay, so you declare everything on this HTML option on the field, this new HTML option. So let's dive in and just write some attributes. So I'm on the edit screen. I'm gonna go back to my resource. And for the has skills, I'm going to say HTML, open the object notation. So I'm going to say on the edit, on the wrapper, I want to add a style attribute, background red. So I just want it to pop out. Okay, coolio. So this added that style rule on top of the wrapper element. I can do similar things to maybe if I want to do input, and this will make the input red. So it took out that checkbox, but you can see where this is going. Next, we can do things like classes, and we can do absolute. And now it will just, oh, sorry about that. I forgot this. And now it should add that class to that element. Cool. So you can see where this is going. Now, if I want to do the block notation, let's just try and do that really quick. So I'm going to say do, edit do, input do, and then I'm going to say style do, So I told you it's a little bit more verbose, but you'll see why we do it. Okay, so basically we have the same thing. We added the style to the input. I'm just gonna do wrapper. And now it's red. And now I can do something a little bit simpler and make this block, the style with a block, into a method. Okay, so this is looks a little bit simpler. Perfect. And now the reason I'm doing this, I'm just going to switch back really quick. The reason I'm doing this is that you can scope out these attributes. So I can say something like, if current user is admin, make this a red background. If not, make this a green background. Or let's do it the other way around so you can see a change. So the user I'm on right now is actually an admin. So you see this is becoming green. So you can further customize these attributes based on your own business logic, right? You can also use the record here, and you can use the resource, and you can use the params, and you can use the what is it, like a context object. So avo app context. You can use whatever you need in here to scope out your attributes. Okay, so we hope this makes it as extendable as you need it to cover all of your scenarios. This is very useful for multi-tenancy scenarios where you can scope out based on your accounts or teams or whatever entity you have out there. Coolio. So going forward, so we talked about the attaching. We talked about the object notation. We talked about the block notation. So we have these helpful little snippets here in the documentation. What else? We talked about this, like making it a little bit more shorthand. So where are the attributes added? We talked about that. So they're added on the wrappers. So you have here a few screenshots on where they are added and for the input target as well. So composing the attributes together. Before going into this, I want to show you. So actually, let's do this. Let's just dive in and add this snippet right here. So it has skills, and let's just paste this in. So what we're basically doing is like we're telling it, like for the edit view on the input, add this data attribute. So on click on the checkbox, run the toggle skills method on the toggle fields controller. Okay, so let's try and do that. And I have this tiny controller as well. And let me see if I can speed this through. So I added this controller that has one method. It will take the skills tags wrapper target. We talked about this. This is something Avo already prepares for you, and goes to the class list and toggles the hidden class on it. So again, so it goes to the skills tags wrapper target, skills tags wrapper target, and toggles the hidden class. So let's see that in action. If I'm going to go back and try this, okay, this is not working. Okay, I know why, because I need to register this stimulus controller. So I'm going to go back to my resource and just going to add this controller. And now if I refresh, you can see I can hide this field using this select. So because this element already has this target, so data toggle fields, this is a new controller target, and it's skills target wrapper. So the name and the type of field and wrapper, and this will just run this action on the controller. So skills tags wrapper target class list, and just toggles the hidden. So this is just a small example on how you can do that, right? You can make this minimal controller that you can toggle different fields. Cool. So we have some pre-made stimulus methods for you. So actually there are just 3 of them. I'm just going to start with the simplest one with debug on input. So this method is here just for debugging purposes to see if you have the right element or not, if stimulus is working and so on. So I'm going to add this. So I'm going to use this, so resource edit debug on input. So I'm going to go to my resource name, HTML. So I'm going to say edit, input, data, and we'll say action, and open this and say on input, run this method. So resource edit debug on input. So resource edit is our controller that we provide out of the box. And if we go and check out this method, it just consoles out the event and the target value. So if I refresh, oh, it's not working. Oh, it's because of this. So let's try it again. So now you can see on input, you see the event, and then you can also get the value. So you get the whole value. Cool. So this is just to test out, like maybe stimulus is working or things are attached properly to your inputs. The next one, it's going to be toggle. So resource edit toggle. I'm going to go to the Boolean one. And instead of using toggle fields, toggle skills, I'm just going to use this. So resource edit like this and toggle. And this takes a param or a toggle target param or more param. So you can toggle 1 or more fields with it. So it's all explained in this snippet and the documentation. I'm just going to paste it here. So we have this action that will run resource edit toggle, and then it will have this target param, and it's just going to do the country select wrapper. Okay, and then so it's going to take this country and select, and hopefully it will toggle it out. Okay, so you see we targeted this wrapper because it had that target attribute set by Avo. So country select wrapper, and now we can hide it. We can do this something similar with targets, and this is going to take an array, and I'm going to say country and city. So hopefully they will both get toggled out. Coolio. So you can do that now. Perfect. Another controller method we expose, it's disable. So it's similar to toggle, but it disables targets. So I'm gonna say disable target, and let's see what we get. Cool. So we can now conditionally disable targets. Okay. Perfect. Of course, we don't want you to use only these like 2 or 3 controllers. We want you to add your own stimulus controllers, and we want to empower you to add all the data attributes and params and whatever you need to do to make your form very dynamic. We do have this example on how you can build something a little bit more complex. So let's say we have this country. We talked about this in the beginning. We have this country field which has a few countries, and then the city field which has a few cities. So by default it has all the cities from all the countries. So USA, Japan, Spain, and Thailand. And let me just comment this out. I have something prepared already. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through it. So has skills is not very important. Skills, again, not very important about for this demo. But we have this country as a select. And let me do this. and HTML, and just indent everything. Cool. So country as select, we have some options from our model, and then we add some HTML. So edit, input, data, action. So when somebody changes that select, it will go to the course resource and run the onCountryChange method. And I'll show you what that does in just a second. For a city, we don't have anything. So anything else, no data attributes, no nothing. So I'm going to try this again. So from the start, you'll see something like let me just do something else. Network conditions, fast 3G. I'm going to refresh the page, and you'll see the page loading, and then you'll see the city have a loading state as well. So you can see all the cities, but in just a second, you'll see it has this loading state as well. Cool. So now what happens is whenever you change a country, Rails, so Stimulus will go to the server and ask for the cities for that country and populate this the select field. So I'm going to go to network and see what happens. So I'm going to select USA. It makes a request to our server with the country as a param, and then it gets back an array of cities from that country. That controller method looks it's very thin. It has the cities method, and it renders a JSON, so get cities from a country, and we just get the cities from this model. So countries and then cities, so it's just a hash, but you can make it as dynamic as you need it. So whenever we change a city, it will, whenever we change a country, it will get the cities and populate this select dropdown. And how that looks is course resource. It looks like this. So on the connect, we have, let me shut this down. On the connect, if it's a new or an edit view, we're capturing the initial value. So if the user, let's try and refresh it, you're on Spain and Barcelona, if you change to Thailand, you choose an option in the city. But if you go back to Spain, you want to still be on Barcelona. So we're capturing the initial value, and then we're running this onCountryChange, which does a few things. You can check out the documentation. Everything is on that docs page, and you can check out the source code as well. So we're getting the country, we're fetching the city from our server, and then we're emptying out the select, adding the placeholder, adding the cities. And then if we have that selected city, that initial value, like we talked about Barcelona, we're going to pre-fill this in. So this form became so much more dynamic because of these, because of this tiny controller, Stimulus controller, and this one attribute here. Cool. I hope you liked this. I hope you like this Stimulus.js and HTML attributes update, and we hope it empowers you to build more dynamic and more complex experiences for your customers. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.